This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
And then there was one standing. All you got to do is win your last game of the season.
Yeah, simple.
Not the regular season, but the Stanley Cup playoffs. And that is the Vegas Golden Knights, Stanley Cup champions of 2023. Just 6. I didn't stutter, did I? 6 NHL seasons to close it out. JB, that's got to piss off Canadian fans from coast to coast.
Yeah, it should. But I mean, listen, Kip, they didn't just get handed that team. I know people are upset about how they got some of their players. They made a lot of changes from that initial year. They were down. Now they missed playoffs last year. This is a team that has a lot of players who've been through the ringer. They rallied, man. Impressive victory, impressive playoff run, some great stories. Jack Eichel's a cool story. Marchessault and Carlson and those original misfits. I thought, a fitting champion to the 2023 season.
He's Justin Bourne. I'm Nick Kypreos, Deryk Brandeo, Jen Rolnick. Producing today, David Sisbumba. We've got Sammy on assignment.
What an assignment.
When you look at this outside of, and we're going to get into the things that you just mentioned, including a better conversation on a Jack Eichel, and wow, what a turnaround of a career so quickly.
Yeah,
but didn't get the series that we probably would have hoped in a 5-game series in which Vegas not off to a great start last night, but I got to look twice. I don't even know what the final score was. Was it 9-3?
9-3.
It's not often we see closing out
It was
games.
over. Bull Bob did his best to hang in there till the end, but
9-3.
Sunset.
What stands out for, outside of naming some individual? What stood out for you in the dominance of Vegas over Florida?
Their defense, that defense core. In the end, I think what stands out is you look at the Conn Smythe Trophy voting, and there's no guy, right? There's no guy where you're like, he played 28 minutes on defense. It's got to be him, or this guy ran away with the scoring, or the goaltender is unbelievable. This was a real team effort. They were 6D deep. I think their bottom pair played 18 and a half minutes per game.
Yeah. And if you looked at the minutes off of Florida, how many guys needed to spend most nights playing over 20 minutes?
Yeah. Mahura's playing 12 a night because Montour's playing 28. Ekblad's playing in a ton of minutes and Forsling a ton, and some of their other guys couldn't quite spread out the time. So to me, the D was the separator in the end. But I'm going to say something here. Look, no disrespect to that Florida team who had an unbelievable playoff run, dominant at times. But minus Tkachuk, you looked at that forward group last night, not great. It looks so different. It's such a testament to how great and important Matthew Tkachuk was to that team. A pretty average forward core led by this guy. What a series. And for him to play with a broken sternum. Couldn't even put his gear on.
Yeah.
What a series for him.
Yeah. Couldn't raise his arms to get his jersey on. Couldn't tie his skates. Needed somebody else to tie his skates, and stuck through it here. And that's the one thing I can look at this and say, yes, 5-game series, and Florida nowhere near the team Vegas was, but right to the bitter end, man, even in a 9-3 loss, they left it all out there.
Florida played. They played their, I don't know what's appropriate these days. They played hard, Nick.
Yeah, they did. They did.
They did.
So, and that's where I think, everybody talks about a copycat league, and it just seems whatever the Stanley Cup champion, the blueprint off of that, everyone follows. And
I wrote about this in an article
whether
today.
or not you did it focus around the Leafs, of course, because that's where I'm kind of taking this conversation. But it's just pretty simple, though, that you can talk about size, you can talk about style of play, but when we looked at these two finalists deserving finalists. Say what you will. There's a lot of people out there going, Florida, I knew it. And they sucked, and they sucked most of the season, and they sucked at the end of this series. And I'm like, no, you weren't paying attention if you really don't understand what it was that we witnessed here. And I thought Paul Maurice said it best. And I know we've got a clip of Paul Maurice describing his experience with the Florida Panthers. And we know when you're a Stanley Cup champion, it's just a given that these are the words spoken out of champions. But it's also true to form on Florida Panthers. So let's have a listen of Paul Maurice post-game.
Coach, we've heard you talk so many times throughout this whole run about guys getting to keep certain things, games, moments, things like that. Looking at the whole group, obviously this feels much more like the beginning for a lot of these guys. What do you hope they keep from these last 2 months or so?
What it can be like. And I don't mean in terms of winning the Stanley Cup, but what a room can be like. What a work environment can be like when you find that the special group of guys. To describe the relationship, I would say they just love each other. Like, truly care about each other and connect with each other, and Lord knows play through things with each other. Remember the feeling. It's not the moments necessarily on the ice, the goals. As a matter of fact, I don't think that's what it is at all with these guys. They just care about each other. They just loved each other, treat each other like so well, so respectfully well, have fun with it, work their butts off every day. But it was truly a special year. I don't think that I can describe it to you very well. You have to, and I'm more of an observer to all of it than a participant in it. To sit back and watch them, it's been spectacular. It's I don't know what the right words are for it, but kind of.
All right, that's good enough for me.
Good things.
It's good enough for me because, as we said, it's a copycat league, and there's general managers now and coaches saying, "Okay, let's copycat that." I would hope that there are 30 teams out there, and if the majority never watched this series at all, just listen to Paul Maurice's words of what it could be like, and then how he spoke of his players and the closeness and how they came together and what they would do for each other. And then ask yourselves, and yes, I'm going back to the Toronto Maple Leafs on this conversation.
Hey, it's a Leaf show.
Ask yourself,
Not what your team can do for you.
Is that us?
Yeah.
Is that us? Did you ever see the movie Jerry Maguire?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the scene where Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry are like having this moment, and then they go to that star quarterback with his agent, and they're like awkward standing, and it's like, shouldn't we be more like them?
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like thinking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and what Florida is and what Vegas is. And it's like, are you guys close like that?
I know.
Do you care about each other like that?
I think you're onto something, a really great thing, but I think that sports people and GMs have known the thing you're talking about, that chemistry, right? But I don't know that you can go get it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I don't know that you can.
See, I think you're wrong. I think you can go get it.
Well, you just go in. Yeah, they brought in Ryan O'Reilly, one of those guys who's been credited for being at the core of rooms with great chemistry. Right? That's part of his reputation. I know in Buffalo it wasn't per se.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
But when you go out and seek out chemistry over talent on the ice, you get in real trouble. We got a bunch of great guys. We never win, but everyone.
No, it's not one or the other, JB. You can have it all.
You can. It's very hard. I don't think people don't know that chemistry is important. You hear every GM be like, it's the culture of our team.
No, they got character people in there. And you
By the way, I heard
homework.
a lot about Winnipeg and that stuff from Maurice. That's what I heard.
Yeah, good point.
He left Winnipeg because he's like, this team can't. They won't.
Listen, I didn't even think of that angle. You're 100% right.
Then he goes to a group where he's like, what it can be like. This is what he was looking for.
Like I said, that's a message to the 30 teams that are on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And I went Toronto, you went Winnipeg, but I think any other team that just didn't make it to the Stanley Cup final, it applies to all of them. But JB, like it's not one of those things. Like I looked at the Leafs and they had this philosophy, and then it's like going to a trade deadline. It's like plan B, and it's like, I'm sorry, too late. And Ryan O'Reilly ain't coming in and fixing your chemistry
nor
issue.
Is Jason Spezza, or nor is Marlowe's a great guy, and Thornton's a great guy, and Simmons is a great guy, great guy.
Hey, but like Mark Stone, like Kelly McCrimmon knew this guy from junior.
Yeah,
like he knew his character. He knew high level of character. Forget about the talent.
This is the sins of Ottawa, not the praise for Vegas for me. Ottawa getting rid of a guy like that is sacrilege.
Alec Martinez, he had some issues last year, but to listen to him speak after with Elliott and David Amber, and they just drip of character. And there's a lot of teams. I'm not just talking about Toronto. There's a lot of teams that are missing that element. If you have the right people looking for it, then you have a better chance to have it all, talent and character. But you need character to judge character.
But you know what, Kip? Winning heals everything, right? Winning cures all, whatever your phrase is, winning. The New England Patriots would go out when they were winning all their Super Bowls. They'd go out and get these ragtag guys who are trouble, and they'd bring them into our culture. And they would, straight and narrow once they're with New England, and all of a sudden they'd get these great years out of them. And to me, it's easy to show character on good teams. So Jack Eichel goes to Vegas and they win all the time. I'm not saying he's a bad character guy at all. He might be the best guy in the world. But it's easy in those situations when you're winning to have good character. And so I think that...
Yeah, it's the chicken and the egg theory
it is.
here.
It's like when you're winning, it's easy to say, hey, we're in this together. When you're losing, guys start to go, well, it's this idiot. He doesn't get it out enough.
In about 8 minutes, we're going to welcome in Deryk Engelland, one of the founding members of Vegas Golden Knights, on their first cup run. We're going to get his thoughts on 5 years later. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But I want to pick up this conversation on Jack Eichel coming to a team like Vegas. And it's real simple for me, JB. Real simple is that, you can have any attitude you want outside of, for Jack in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. But when you are now thrusted into a dressing room with 5 or 6 quality guys, like there's like you want to bring whatever luggage you had in Buffalo into that room.
Yeah. With
the likes of Alex Pietrangelo and Mark Stone and Riley Smith and John Marchessault and even William Carrier, you are going to get eaten up. You are going to get swallowed. They won't allow it for you to come in and be the guy that you thought you were in Buffalo. Yeah. And Jack, to his credit, was smart enough to say, like, this is like a breath of fresh air here. I don't have to be the guy. I don't have to feel like I'm carrying the franchise on my shoulder. I don't have to feel like I have to be the guy at $10 million every night.
That helps, right?
All I got to do is just go out and play.
Yeah.
And you listen to Jack Eichel. David, do we have Jack Eichel at all? Let's just have a listen, because I don't get everybody have a listen to Jack Eichel, because I don't get a snippet of the guy he used to be in Buffalo in this, but you all be the judge.
What a journey. Put it into words.
It's hard to now. It's hard to come up with something. I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. We had a pretty good run there, and I just love those guys in that room, and so happy to be here. And we battled through the playoffs. I just give everyone so much credit, management, ownership, the whole organization. It's a really special organization, and I just feel blessed to be a part of it.
Jack, what about your personal journey? There was probably doubt sometimes that crept in. You would maybe never get this opportunity. It's here, you've done it. What does this mean to you? What gave you the strength?
A lot of adversity. But coming here and being with these guys every day, it really changed my outlook on a lot of things, and I started to, really enjoy coming to the rink again, and obviously got my health back, and I can't give the Knights, the entire organization, enough credit for allowing me to come in here, get a surgery and get back out, and we just have an unbelievable group of guys in that room that really, really care about each other. And
all right, that's good.
when you're going on a run like that,
did he four times? Did he always went back to I love these guys, and everything's about his teammates and how they changed him. He just said it. They changed his outlook.
Yeah, I think that this is a guy who, like a lot of young, talented players in the league on bad teams, you wear this giant burden of fixing it, of being the savior for your franchise. And these guys alleviated him of that burden, right? He now looks like a winner. He's a guy he's done it. Frankly, Eichel, he almost won the Conn Smythe, depending on who you ask. I don't think he was that great in playoffs. 6-7 goals or something. He was good. He's good. But, he didn't have to be great here. And that's, to your point,
yeah.
If he's making $10 million on a bad team and he's okay, it looks a lot different than it looks when his team wins.
Yeah, I thought he was great.
You did.
But not, like, it didn't have to be like my numbers are supporting greatness. But you watch him.
He played his game to his credit, for sure.
There wasn't anyone that could touch that skill level on Florida. And we knew, led by Matthew Tkachuk, they're going to find different ways to put the puck in the net. And usually it's a hard forecheck. Mm-hmm. But that skill level is special. And just to be able to focus on that, not worry about anything else. And, for him to acknowledge that, I thought a certain way, and then I meet up with these guys in this room, and now I can change a little bit of my outlook.
I think he's going to be a much better player the next 5 years than any other point in his career.
It's
he's been freed to me, and now he can just play.
But you got to give him credit for at least looking at the opportunity and not wasting it, and showing so much maturity.
Yeah. Like and that's
he
I would
has
say
to take
he was
advantage.
an immature guy in the early part of his career.
Really immature guy.
That is, everyone who.
But listen, you want to give a kid an inch, he's going to take a mile.
Yeah,
they gave him too much too soon.
Yeah,
and that is that Eichel's fault? Is that Buffalo's fault, or is that just the way the system is set up? We know it, and I'm not going to get into this CBA thing, but it's set up for guys to come in and think that this is the way the world works. And
it's a lesson for teams in dealing with their young guys
first,
too.
Pay me first, and then I'll win.
Right.
Instead of my era, hey, show me you can win, and then we will pay you.
Yeah. It's tough because sometimes you're not in a circumstance to win. But I understand your point, and I do think that it is a lesson about a lot of young guys, in the league who come in and just get handed 23 minutes a night. And his D's not great, but, we sure want him out there. And, sometimes it's okay for your young players to get a scolding, healthy scratch to game, play on the third, fourth line here and there. You're not ruining a young guy. It's progress towards a career, and being the best player these guys can be. So credit to him for doing the work to get where he needed to be.
Did you catch a couple of Instagram posts of the celebration? I don't know what club they went to, but it was awfully Vegas looking.
Yeah. I was actually wondering, I wonder if some Denver players showed up there the next day. So,
all right, let's welcome in Deryk Engelland, original member of the Golden Knights, lucky enough to experience great success with the Stanley Cup final. And then 5 years later, they bring the trophy home. I was telling Deryk, JB, there's a lot of ticked off fan bases right now going, okay, what gives? 6 years. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, where are you exactly? Are you in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm actually at the practice rink right now. But,
what?
Working on your game or what?
What is it? Did they open up a nightclub there?
Oh, no. I actually went home early somewhat last night. My boys had sports at 8 this morning, so I kind of took the responsible route last night, but I'm sure Saturday with the parade, I think it's Saturday night, so I'm sure that'll be a late one. Well,
can you just share as a guy that was there at the very beginning and what you went through, and also factor in this was a community that bonded together through one of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history, and all of that, and the fan base, and to get to the point where 6 years later to win the Stanley Cups, what kind of flow of emotion does that put you at?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's you wish you were out there still at that moment when the buzzer goes, but just to be part of it 5 years later, still with the organization, and just seeing how this city it's a hockey city now. It's I know guys want to come play here and stuff because of what they've done here with the organization, what Bill Foley's done, George and Krim, and but the fan base was insane last night at the rink, outside the rink. It's just been tremendous to see from day one, and like you said, the tragedy of 1 October and how this city has really become a community now, to something to rally around their own sports team.
It is something watching the community outside what people think of as Vegas and the Strip there. I know I played some ECHL hockey against the Wranglers back in the day, and it is a different environment there. You've had the chance to live there, to be a part of that outside of the glitz and glamour part of Vegas life. And I imagine that some of the guys who were there with you when Vegas launched have kind of settled in nicely there too. When you saw the air quotes misfits get handed the Stanley Cup second, third, fourth there, were there any names in particular that stood out to you as, that feeling special for those particular players?
Yeah, all those guys, all the guys that I went through that first year, I thought it was really cool that Bruce started those guys, 5 of the 6 of them. I was hoping Carrier maybe get starting goalie or something for a few seconds. All 6 of them were out there, but I thought that was pretty cool to start the game off there. Tough couple shifts to start, but to still start that line, and it's not like the building needs to be any louder, but starting those guys, it definitely added a little more juice to the already insane environment there, and to see. Marky win. He was my choice for Conn Smythe. I wasn't sure if they were going to go Eichel or him, but I was happy to see him win that. He was phenomenal throughout the whole playoffs, and all those guys lifting that. Just brings you back to that first year. Not quite finishing what we started, but to see it 5 years later is amazing to see.
We're talking to Deryk Engelland, former Vegas Golden Knights alternate captain in the inaugural year for the Golden Knights. If you look back at your Stanley Cup final and falling short, and what you saw out of the Vegas Golden Knights last night to win it, what is one or two things that just stood out for you as true different makers?
Well, I think that first year we worked as a team. We didn't have the high-end talent that the team has now, with Eichel and Stone and Pietrangelo adding to the already deep organization. We didn't have those top guys, but the depth this year was, all 4 lines contributed throughout the playoffs. You watch them play Edmonton, and those 2 lines, but we had 3, top lines, and our 4th line is is phenomenal too. So the depth and then the goalie carousel from the All-Star break on, 5 goalies. Brossoit comes in, gets a starting nod, and then he gets hurt and Hill comes in. And, I thought last night he kept the game 0-0 for a while there. He made some huge stops to kind of nullify their push at the beginning. And then in the second, the team just took over the depth and all the skill that the team has.
So what is the plan in the city? They going to cruise down the strip with the Stanley Cup, or what's happening
again?
There? Yeah.
Like they did last night?
Did they?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, they were all over last night. And, I think the strip, it's going to be Saturday night, the parade. I'm not sure the exact route or anything, but it'll be going down the strip, and I think probably end up at T-Mobile at the plaza there.
Oh, wow.
If you want to talk about somebody that I don't even know if the proper term's putting your neck out on the line here, but Bill Foley, and I think you've got a relationship with him. Is it a working relationship at all? And what you can tell us about him, and turning a quote of 3 years to make the playoffs, 6 to win the Stanley Cup, and actually make it true. What's this say about this guy?
Yeah, I think you look at everything he's done with every venture he does. He doesn't go in half in; he goes all in, and it shows with the team with the moves they've had to make. There's been some difficult trades and all that stuff throughout the first 6 years, but he, at the end of the day, is all in to get a guy like Petro here. Eichel, Stone, he's all in. Doesn't matter what it's going to take. He wants to win, and it's being on the other side, not the player side. You get to see it a lot more and hear all the ventures he does. He's all in for everything, and it seems like everything he does it the right way, and it all takes off. So it's been amazing to see and be a part of that on that side, and I'm just excited to see. It just ended last night, but excited to see what happens here in the near future.
And last one for me, Deryk. Just want to get your take on Bruce Cassidy and the impact he's had this season as first year with the team here, takes them all the way to winning a Stanley Cup. What has he done differently there, just in a unique way that has helped the team have success?
Well, I think first off, right at the beginning of the season, just the way he practices. I think the previous years we might have lacked that grit in front of the net. You go to the Dallas series that we lost in Montreal. The willingness to go to the net might not have been as much as with Bruce. The practice, you just watch him practice and everything's get to the net. Wreak havoc on the other goalies, and because if you're making a deep run, you're going to run into hot goalies, and Bobrovsky was no different. He was phenomenal, but they made it hard on him, and that's what I think his biggest thing. And then taking one thing that sticks out is taking Jack Eichel. He's known for his offensive abilities. He's up there with the generational talents, but his two-way game under Bruce is just taken off. He's a 200-foot player now, and I think a lot has to do with how Bruce coaches and how he's developed him into that full player.
Hey, Deryk, if Wayne Newton doesn't have a Stanley Cup party for the boys, I'm going to be really disappointed.
I know I should text him. We actually met up having dinner one night, and we actually share a birthday. So we text every year on our birthdays, happy birthday. So yeah.
Did you call him Newts, boys?
Wayner?
So you never know. It's freaking never know. Possibilities are endless here.
Well, listen, really appreciate your time. I'm sure you're gonna catch up to the guys at some point and celebrate. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Deryk Engelland, one of the original Misfits.
Yeah, good for him.
Now,
Still involved with the org.
Now, he played in the same league, right? In Vegas, the ECHL?
Yes, he played for the Wranglers.
Did you play against him?
I actually just looked it up before we went on
Did you
air.
cross paths?
I don't think so.
Did you run him, spear him?
Oh, God,
Pretty
no
tough, eh?
chance.
Pretty tough.
He played in 06. I would have played against them in the playoffs in 06, 07. Missed him by a year.
Yeah. That's.
Thank goodness.
Let me ask you about Aiden Hill.
I did play against him when he was in Wilkes-Barre.
Oh, you
Sorry.
did?
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aiden Hill.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or did he just get better and better and better?
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, again, and not when your team is winning and you have that momentum and that confidence and you feel like, you're a part of this machine. I just think it's incredible for guys' confidence.
What you're saying is he played way over his head and he's going to come down to earth. That's what you're telling me.
A little bit.
I know it. I can hear it in your voice.
What was he in playoffs? Like a 920 save percentage?
936, I think.
Okay. Well, he's not that.
I think it's one of the best in history.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's very good. He's probably
for over
not
15 games.
Yeah, he was excellent for them. So,
but he's 27 years old. Like that's upside.
If you put a lot of goalies behind Pietrangelo, Theodore, McNabb, Haig, White Cloud, I don't know who I missed there, but it's pretty good.
He's a UFA.
Yeah.
Like if Jack can go 5 times 5 and not get out of the first round, like where is this guy?
Got to be nervous anytime a goalie has like a one-off good season, but he's, from talking to goalie people a little bit, he sounds like a more technically sound, big. They like Aiden Hill. The numbers like him.
That game last night did not start out like it was going to end up 9-3.
He made some stops.
He made huge stops. I can't. Was it Barkov who tried to cut to his left side? Hill's left side, and he just stuck out the longest leg in the league. He must be 6? He's almost 6'6".
Yeah, he's a lot of person. I was actually just looking for that.
Yeah. I think he's listed at 6'5", but they tell me he could almost come in as 6'6".
He's listed as 6'6" on Elite Prospects.
Okay, so maybe 6'7".
Yeah. The point is, he's a giant.
He's a giant.
Yeah.
And how would you not be attracted to that?
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Well, if you're undecided about the Leaf net, would you revisit that?
Would you go 5-5 for Aiden Hill?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would.
Final answer. Lock it in.
Yeah. And Ottawa should go 5 times 5.
You want to know my answer?
Yeah.
I would too. I would.
Yeah.
5-5. Let's go. Aiden Hill.
And I'll tell you another thing that I absolutely loved, and I think it was Tkachuk that crashed him earlier in the series. And he got
went back at
attitude.
him. Yeah.
He'll come back and
he threw a couple blockers.
2 and a major slash. Yeah. Not a major slash. I don't mean major as 5 minute and thrown out of a game, but he gave him a very good whack. He is like, this is my area. You want to come in?
That's the anti-Jack Campbell who's giving guys the price. He's slashing guys, but it's his own teammates.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah. And I love that about him. Yeah. I think he could come in and give major attitude to a hockey club.
Love that. March Stowens Conn Smythe, way to go. Can I ask you about Ottawa now?
Yeah, sure.
Are we done on?
Yeah, we're good.
Congrats to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, Michael Andlauer.
Andlauer gets the team.
He has, and I said it, I think maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, they're going to end up with a great owner, and whether it was my group or someone else's, and sure enough, they are. He's a quality guy, Michael Andlauer.
So, and that's for 90% of the team. The girls retain 10%, is my understanding.
Yeah, he'll take 90%, and in terms of majority ownership, we obviously know Michael has it, but there could be probably 30 or 40 minority owners involved in his group as well. Oh, really?
A lot of other money in there as well?
Yeah, lots of.
I mean, I was actually thinking of this. He owns 10% of the Leafs, the Habs that he's going to sell.
Yes.
Habs, if Ottawa's worth $1 billion, the Habs got to be worth $3 billion.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that too, because it's not what it's worth.
Okay.
It's what it's worth to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the one thing that I was able to see is where the dollars are and where they're spent, and it's a great opportunity, but it's challenging. It's a big number, and it will be very challenging to create additional revenue in what is considered one of the smaller markets in the National Hockey League with Ottawa.
But I'm curious what his 10% of the Canadians is worth. Like probably $250 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't even guess, but if you think it's worth $2 billion, Montreal, is that what you're kind of
2.5?
Okay.
I'm just going off Ottawa's sale price and what they would probably be worth. That's a pretty big piece of.
It is a pretty big piece, but you also have to find the right buyer who's willing to give you $250 million
to be a 10% owner.
No. To be a glamorous season ticket holder.
Yeah, like you don't have a ton of input in that percentage.
What do you think it gets you?
A tenth of a vote?
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't get you a vote.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to negotiate that, maybe it gets you a vote, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're just a silent partner. And
I think in Canada,
and all you do is you just come to the games and
people go, you own the team. You go, big piece.
You get to walk around the building and say that I'm a minority owner. Yeah. And like I said, what's that get?
Someone says, sir, you can't be in this area. What do you mean?
A visit in the suite, right?
Yeah.
And the only way you hope that the franchise appreciates, and then one day you maybe cash out or you pass it on to your kids. I don't know, but it's gonna take.
You're less excited about that.
It's gonna take a while for Ottawa to turn this thing around and make money.
Yeah,
there has to be a new building sooner than later come in.
I am curious, like how much this will affect next season, because the understanding that I have is that Andlauer didn't land this bid and now he's the guy. Like there's a transition period, there's financing that has to be in place. There's a board of governors vote. You've heard people say, Steve Staios is going to be the GM or, the coach, Patrick Waugh is going to be the coach, whatever people are saying. Can it happen? Can it happen in time for the season?
It can happen. It all depends on when Andlauer is allowed to agreed to get the keys. Do those decisions now? He could have negotiated that once I sign off on this and we've got everything locked in, I take over right away. I think he could have negotiated that if he wanted to. I
hope he did, just because you don't want the Ottawa stuck spinning their wheels here, waiting to close on the house.
Yeah. Does he have to wait till September? But there's some key decisions. Obviously, DeBrincat is a key decision.
Yeah, and you're not going to Anna and Olivia, which I believe are the girls' names, and saying, hey, do you guys want DeBrincat? They're not going to be the majority owner. It shouldn't be their decision. So I don't know anything about the process. Yeah. I'm just hopeful for Ottawa Senators fans' sake that they're able to move on with some expediency.
It's whatever he negotiated when he signed on the dotted line. And
sounds like there's lots of negotiations, lots of dotted lines.
Gave a check.
How do you use e-transfer that? Do you accept tap? Around the league, Kip, while we're doing that.
Okay. Shocking. Jason Spezza, assistant general manager.
Have you ever heard of an AGM getting hired before a GM is even hired and is going to be hired in the same year? Unless you know who the GM is going to be.
You think another Maple Leaf?
How is it not Brandon Pridham?
Okay. Wes Clark, who else can follow fast enough?
Right.
Kyle.
But what do the Leafs do? You heard Shanahan be like, the draft's going to be run by Pridham and Clark. Presumably Pridham would have a contract that they're waiting to expire or through the draft as a courtesy to the Leafs.
Again, I don't know what that would entail. Usually, if you have a chance to advance, teams don't hold you back.
Right. And so if I'm Shanahan, I go to Pridham and I say, are you going to Pittsburgh? Because we don't want you running a draft if you are.
Well,
and he goes, they haven't talked to me yet, but.
It all depends on what's in his current deal now, because there's some teams that overpay an assistant general manager to say, you don't get the clause that you're locked in. I paid a premium.
Almost a GM.
Almost like a GM for you not to go and get a GM job. I wouldn't know what Brendan what arrangement he has.
But I think it's fair to say they know who it's going to be because you don't hire an AGM. If you're going to hire a GM, they get to bring their guys.
They know who it is already. His
100%.
name's Kyle Dubas.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
100%.
This is his show.
Dubas is Gorton. He's Rutherford.
If you want to go get a Patrick Alvin to do paperwork
and say, I need another body who's on the same page as me.
Make phone calls.
You're the GM. It'll further your resume.
You want to make some calls, come back to me.
Propose the deals. You got a deal worked out? I don't like that one. Call him back.
That's all that's going to happen there.
This is new in the NHL. Like the last few GMs hired, it feels like intend to run their team. The president intends to run the team. So
and hey, listen, Spezza now is the new Sheldon Keefe for Kyle.
What does that mean? His guy.
The relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good to have a guy.
Yeah, it's good to have a guy, but sometimes you want to show that I can stand on my own 2 feet. Right. I don't need a guy. It's nice to
get your resume up first.
It's nice to have people believe in you, but you don't want to just be known as someone's guy.
For sure you don't.
No, it's not good.
But if you're no one's guy, you never get to be anyone.
I'll tell you, just talking from a few, behind the scenes,
don't like that look.
There's a lot of people that thought, Jason would run and share, information to Kyle. And
you mean within the Leafs?
Yeah, within the Leafs.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's his job.
No, I know, but there's some people that, in my experience, there was always that thought that if anything's said or done in the in the dressing room, there'd always be whether it would be a trainer or a security person at the door, or someone's gonna go and rat you out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and I'm not insinuating that Jason was a rat.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that sometimes when you're so close to somebody that if you feel like you're talking to them, it's just going to go it's going to go straight to the other person.
Yep.
And my point in all of this is you don't necessarily want to be close to anybody to the point where you don't think that, your relationship with a player or your ability to have trust with somebody doesn't go any further than looking someone in the eye.
Coaches seek that out, right? Like on every team everywhere, they call the equipment manager in and they say, "Hey, I heard that these two guys are fighting in the dressing room."
Exactly.
Are they fighting in the room? What's going on?
Pipeline.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pipeline. Like
I heard so-and-so is having problems with whatever.
Every dressing room since junior.
Yes. The coach wants to know what's going on in the room.
But players would know, like, if information's getting out on things.
Yeah. Can't talk near the trainer.
Or whatever. You get a feel for who's a pipeline and who's not. When you're so joined at the hip. And that's what the challenge is for, ex-players going into that environment.
I think of Jack Nicholson and then The Departed and the cheese-eating rat scene. It's really good. You don't want to be the cheese-eating rat. It's not a good label.
All right, we're going to go to break.
All right.
God, that was a fast 43 minutes here.
We could do a couple today, but yeah.
We didn't even need Sammy.
No, who needs Sammy?
Nobody
She's
needs
golfing
Sammy.
in Cabot, no big deal.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. JB's going to give us, what are you going to give us? Some playoff picks.
Yep.
All right. More Real Kyper and Bourne after these words.
Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Kypreos, Justin Bourne. It's time for playoff picks.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to do the whole formal introduction for that. It's time for playoff picks, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds.
Be honest, were you just snoozing and I caught you off guard a little bit?
Did I sound like I just woke up? So, season's over. Nothing else to bet on this year, but that doesn't mean that next year's Stanley Cup odds aren't out.
Okay, how quickly, did that?
To be honest, they were up weeks ago.
And have they not changed?
They've changed, yeah. They have. They've moved a little bit. So now we have our final look at, at the end of the season, next year's Stanley Cup odds. The Stanley Cup favorites going into next year are the Colorado Avalanche, plus 850. Now, Landeskog's done, right?
Do they know that?
I don't know. I wouldn't bet on that, knowing that myself. Plus,
for sure he's out all season.
Yeah. So no Landeskog. That's a big one. Second and third, or tied for second, the Maple Leafs and the Oilers, the next shortest odds to win the Stanley Cup. So looking at the odds, you want to find value. You want to find a team that you think is going to see their number get smaller as it gets closer to the season. So I took a look at teams that made the playoffs that don't have or that have really long odds. The two longest odds for playoff teams from this past year are Seattle and the Islanders. The Islanders are plus 5,000.
And you think that's a drop a hun on that.
Never know. But here's what I think is a better bet than that. So Seattle, pretty good, plus 3,500. That, they went to the second round this year. No reason to think they're going to be worse next year. Two teams that stand out, the Buffalo Sabres were plus 3,300. Sabres missed playoffs by a point. Is it finally time for them to push some chips in? They think they have a goalie now in Devin Levi. Could you see them? They have a huge amount of cap space. Could they be a team that decides? Remember Detroit the year before signed 7 players at UFA time, decided to get good. We see it and the Kings did it too. Teams flip the switch. I could see Buffalo doing that and their odds getting shorter. The other team, the Kings at plus 1,800, they're involved in every rumor. Every available player is rumored to be going to the Kings. It's Matthews, it's Marner here in Toronto. It's anyone who's any good. So the Kings are going to be actively trying to get better. So that's a number I like a little bit too.
Where are the Stanley Cup finalists? Florida Panthers.
The Florida Panthers are plus 1,800 as well.
See,
they're right there with LA.
Yeah. You'd think it'd be a lot higher.
Well, they're returning everyone on the decor, which is the reason they won.
Are you getting Bobrovsky picking up where he kind of left off, or? Sorry,
I was thinking about Vegas there. Yeah, you're right about Florida.
No, Florida.
Yeah, Florida's not going to lose much, doesn't look like.
But they're not. So you said they're with LA?
Yeah, so that they have the 10th, 11th longest odds of any team.
Should it not be a lot higher? They went to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, that's probably a good bet too. Dallas Stars right there too, plus 1,700, who are in the conference final. They're right there with Florida. So those are the teams if you're going to place one of those long shot bets. That's where you do it. So that has been Playoff Picks presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds.
All right. Just one note on Mark Stone.
No better celebrator in sports.
He's now my favorite player.
Favorite player?
Yeah, my favorite player. He is maybe one of the best meat and potato superstar ever for me.
All right. Do you want to set the internet on fire, or should I not do it?
No, do it. We
Stanley
got a
Cup
minutes.
playoffs, you can have Matthews or Stone.
Yeah. Game 7, Stone all day long, pal.
God, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you have a Leaf show?
Yeah.
And pick Mark Stone over Austin Matthews? Really?
All
You
day
mean that?
long.
Yeah.
All day long. One guy gets it. I want horses back there. One guy still hasn't figured it out.
You know what? I wouldn't. I don't have a quick answer myself. I'd take Matthews. There it is. I gave it a second. I would take Matthews, but I know a lot of people. I was talking to Bunkus and McKee. I was saying Vegas doesn't have a player inside the top 30 in the league, I think I said, or top 20 in the league. And Stone came up.
Stone is infectious. That means something towards chemistry.
I agree with that. He puts himself out there.
Again, and Austin won't put himself out there.
Not yet.
He'll stay in his lane and get everything he can out of his skill or his terrific shot. But
Mark Stone is like a few years
goes
earlier,
out
Ryan
of
O'Reilly.
his comfort zone to get whatever he can out of his talent.
I'm glad he got a cup.
Austin needs to figure that out.
Their observation.
Okay, just like that. It's over. Deryk Engelland, thanks for joining us.
Jay's tomorrow.
Jay's tomorrow.
We're back Friday.
We're back on Friday. Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great night, everybody.
In tennis, you never know when history is about to be made.